So today we're going to go ahead, finish up the Ford steering box install with the modified steering column. If you haven't seen part 1, I'll link it in the description down below. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We're going to be doing a small giveaway when we get to 100 subscribers here. If you're looking to do this upgrade, stick around, we'll show you how it's done. Welcome back to the shop. So I went and picked up my new steering box here. Got this from Napa. Took a little while to come in, but this one's apparently got a lifetime warranty on it. Looks all right overall. It's a little crustier than I'd expect, but fairly typical. They usually just do a quick rebuild on these, hit them with a spray bomb and call it good. But this is the Ford box. It's kind of funny, my usual parts guy at Napa there, he's a fairly soft-spoken older gentleman. He had to go lug this from the other side of the store because somebody had put it in an inconvenient spot. He threw it on the counter and gave me the raised eyebrow and said, "The heck is this for anyways?" So that's for my 68 F-100. His exact words were, "That is one mother of a steering box. Never seen one that big." And, these are pretty beefy. I feel like this one is a bit heavier weight-wise compared to the Bendix as well. I'll get this fit up on the truck. The one other thing we will have to do is we're likely gonna have to clearance the driver's side perch for the engine there. So we'll just take a die grinder, grind a bit out so that this will sit in there. I'm trying to find a replacement perch for that, but parts are kind of tough to find around here, so I'm trying to find somebody that's maybe got a yard full of old dent sides, and we'll see if I can steal a perch off that. But other than that, this will bolt directly in the same spot, and we'll get the steering column fit up and see if we screwed it up or not. So just a quick comparison for those of you who aren't too familiar. You can see this one's skinnier this way, which will be handy. That section there on the Bendix is pretty tight to the headers, made a real nightmare to get it in there, so should free up some space and make that a little easier. Visually, this one's kind of short and fat, and you can always distinguish the two by the Ford unit has the 2 bolts and the Bendix has the 4. So you can see that difference there with the frame holes lined up. This one is quite a bit longer than the Bendix unit, so that's why we had to shorten our steering column by the 2 inches so that everything will bolt up. I'm also pretty sure if I read my fine print on my lifetime warranty, this is probably the sticker that validates it. Much like a lot of this rebuilt stuff, warranty is void if the sticker's not attached. And of course they put it on this rough surface here, which is great because it's probably going to fall off of there within a couple of weeks. But that's how they get you. Lifetime warranty is usually not all it's cracked up to be. So we got the box sitting in there, and as expected, we're gonna have to clearance not a lot, but other option is to get the later model perch for here, which is angled to give clearance for this. All right, so I got that marked out there. You need to take about 3/4 of an inch just in this corner here, kind of carve it out a little bit. So I'm just gonna take the die grinder, do the rough grind, and then I'll buff it out with the flap wheel. Just my luck, can't find any of my safety glasses. It's just me here. The more you need them, the harder they are to find. Alright, so I got that all ground out. It turned out to be significantly more than the 3/4 of an inch that I initially thought. It's tough to judge because the box was kind of sitting at an angle, so as it rolled into its spot, I had to keep taking a bit more out. We'll go ahead and grind this out, clean it up a bit more. Got everything mocked in there, it sits well. So I'm just gonna clean up the box, clean up the bolts, we'll fit it in, and test out our steering column. I ran a die over this bolt here to clean it up. You can see the ones that came out were pretty crusty, and the box itself isn't much better. You can see there's quite a bit of junk down in there. I did go through, chase this thread already, cleaned it up. So these are just 7/16 14 TPI. Should Just using a crescent wrench on this because this housing's in the way. I can't quite get my tap handle in there. Pretty typical for these rebuilt boxes. They don't go through the trouble of really cleaning anything up for you. It's kind of tough to tell when I was mocking this up if I was cross-threading them or not because they were so tough going in. So this will prevent us from doing that. You see, a fair bit of junk came out of that one. Just got to do this lower one and clean up the rest of the bolts. And with the bolts, we'll just give a blast to the Old Faithful, which is one of the few things it's actually good for. Cleaning up stuff like this. Probably just going to use these for mock-up, and then I'll go get some good quality grade 8 bolts to change these out with. They are 50 some odd years old, so always a good idea to use new hardware on important stuff like steering and brakes. So I got everything ground out and fit up there. As you can see, gives us just enough clearance along there. Got the steering column in, everything fits up good. I'm gonna run out right now and go grab another steering coupler here. And the one other thing we're gonna have to modify, which I thought about as I was putting this column back together, is the arm for the shifter here. Of course, shortening the column up brought this back 2 inches. It does actually still go in, but if you can see down here, it's catching on the seam for the cab here. It does work, it's just quite tight. So I haven't decided how I'm going to do that. I can either heat this up, straighten out this bend here, and move it over, because we can swing this arm back and forth, so it doesn't really matter. Doing that's going to shorten it up. Or I could cut this here, just weld an extension and move it over. So haven't decided yet. I'll figure that out when we gotta pop this back out to finish weld everything anyway, so I will deal with that. And our new cover and the pitman arm are in Seattle right now, so they should be here in the next couple days. We'll get those installed once they show up. I did also order up some new power steering hoses. Looks like the Bendix ones would fit in there. I haven't popped these caps to see if same size fittings. But it seems like that would work. The return hose is a bit short because they're cut to fit, and the Bendix box fittings are a little closer to the front there. I'm also gonna have to figure out something. The brake lines were originally mounted to the box there, but not quite sure how they were set up on these. I'll have to look at that and figure that out, but it's really not the end of the world. You can also probably see here too, freed up a fair bit of space as opposed to the Bendix box. It had that section that kind of jutted out. It was quite tight getting these in there, so when I go ahead and put the final Renflex gaskets in there, it'll be interesting to see how much easier it is to get this in and out of there, because it was quite the struggle before. So I'm gonna go ahead, pull this out of here, disassemble it again, get everything final clean, weld it up, go grab the new rag joint, and then we should be good to reinstall everything. So I got the column pulled out, got everything finished welded there, ground down on these two. That one I'm not going to worry too much about. You're not going to see that, it's hidden inside the column anyway, so I just skimmed it off. And with this shifter arm here, I did end up cutting it and extending it. I was going to heat it up with a torch and rebend it, but I was worried about melting this rubber bushing out of there, so that should work. So like I said, I'm reusing the bearings. This is the lower. Got it all cleaned out, and then I just repacked them with just some white lithium, which was what was in there. It was just all gummed up before. Everything should be good there. And this is a steering coupler. It's a Dorman. Again, my favorite brand to hate. 31004. But I am taking this one back. Got it from my local parts house. Picked up a few other things, and my bill was a little bit higher than expected when I walked out the door. Got home, looked at the invoice, and list price on this was $186, if you can believe it or not. And with my discount, which is usually fairly decent, it was still 126 bucks. So I came home, took a peek on good old Amazon, 66 bucks on there. So as much as I like to support local business, double the price, just ain't gonna cut it. Okay, so I got to call them all back together. Bit of a challenge getting everything back in where it belongs. If you had 2 people, it would be probably helpful. The biggest challenge is trying to get the shift tube and this collar and everything back on there. And you've got to get your 2 little nuts that I showed you there earlier locked into those little grooves that they sit in. I was told to use heavy grease to hold them in there. I found that didn't work so well for me. I just ended up threading the nuts right out on the bolt, and you can actually kind of tip them up and in and get them to lock in there. Like I said, went fairly smooth. I did have to do it 2 times, maybe 3, because never fails with stuff like this. There's always a little bit you forget to put in the right order. First time I had it together, forgot to put the little indicator tab, which just sits inside there. And then took it apart, got that in there, and then realized that these were sitting on the other side of the shop, so you can't get those on there with the arm in there. Got the wiring all back together, soldered everything up, got rid of those butt splices. And I did add a section of shrink tube in here just to protect along this edge inside there. And I did the same to the top side as well there, just a short section on there. So everything should be good. And I also put a new rag joint in. The old one was toast. And with these, I couldn't find one locally. Unless you go through a parts supplier for classic trucks, you can't get the original. So the Dorman is as close as you're going to get. It's pretty well identical. The only difference being the 2 pins here. On the new ones, you've got 2 large pins. So you just have to grind out, take a die grinder and just open up the one side there so that it'll slip through. But other than that, everything's good. The little safety switch pin there, I just drilled and stuck a small ribbon on the side that cracked off to hold it in for now. So I'm gonna go throw this in this morning. And the last 2 pieces to the puzzle are the firewall bracket, which just showed up the other day here, and pitman arm, which I'm told this one here is the ticket. Looks quite similar to the one that's on the other box, but apparently this is the one for the 69 to 72. So we'll fit that on there. And then, yeah, the bracket, like I said, the 2-inch difference in the way the column comes through changes it up. Holes are off on the one at the top there. It's over here, so I'm gonna, I think, drill a hole, take the patch and weld it in there, but we can do that down the road. I just want to get this back together today. I also want to give a shout out to Brian over at Slick Truck Parts. He's located out of Oregon. If you need any parts for your slick side, bump side, or dent side, he's got a pretty good selection of stuff there. So he helped me out with the pitman arm and firewall bracket. So thanks, Brian. Appreciate it. All right, so there we have it. I got new lines in, got the column bolted up, but I'm still gonna have to re-drill that hole there for the last bolt and plug that hole there. I'm also gonna have to cut and modify the bracket that's on the inside of the firewall here. It's about 1 inch too short to reach the holes, so I'll probably just pop the column out quickly, slice that in half, and add a piece in the middle. Other than that, everything else fits up, so I'm gonna go ahead and get some fluid in there, bleed this out. So I think that's all for today. Pretty happy with how it turned out. And if you're wanting to do this, it's certainly something you could hammer out in the weekend. You could probably do it in a day if you've got everything organized and all your parts in hand. So click the subscribe button down below there if you haven't already, and be sure to give us a like. And as always, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.